Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the Tentis channel. Today we are doing youth empowerment, and therefore we are tackling the issue of hidden meanings to everyday activities. Okay, hidden meanings to everyday activities. And today's activity is formal education. Formal education. And we are addressing the issue of whether formal education is relevant for today, relevant for today's issues. And we are talking about all the things we do in formal education and what they are meant to achieve that somehow they are not achieving. Actually, we are answering the question of those highly educated people who still say education is not relevant for our time. We are answering the question. We are giving you insight as to why they say that and what is wrong with that statement, actually. Now, if you are in a part of the world, a developing country, you often hear about the fact that education is not producing the kinds of graduates that can work in the world of work. But if that was only for developing countries, I would understand. We go to developed countries too, and depending on the school you attend, that narrative is still there, actually. And it's only the schools that have learned to actually stick to the original objective of education, which was to pass on problem solving skills. It is only those schools that are producing people who are able to create employment or get employment as soon as they finish school. My contention is that people know what education is supposed to do because they have been educated. So it could not have been wrong to have been educated if that education has taught you what you needed to do. For those who say that in spite of education they don't know what to do, then today I am reorienting you as to what your education was supposed to do. And as you begin to meditate on what I'm saying, you will suddenly be reoriented and you realize that you have been given so much that you are doing nothing but for so many years. You have been given so much that you did very little with. And once you start going back there, you begin to realize that there are many latent skills you have, many potential that are within you that you can reactivate. Yes, before I go any further, as I usually do, please, those on YouTube, click on the subscription button. Yes, you watching me. Click it right now. They're not going to charge you. No, it's free. Yes, it's free. Trust me on that. Like it on Facebook, wherever you find it on social media. Just show a thumbs up, like it, and just join this family of our 10 channel. And let's empower ourselves as youth. Let's empower ourselves as people who want to make impact on our generation. Now, one other thing, and we are talking about the third part of whether formal education is relevant. And one, the third part of the hidden meanings behind everyday activity. The everyday thing you do in school where you are actually, your performance is sometimes there's an order of merit and it's placed there, and you go and look at your board where you fit and all of that, where there's an average board and you go and look at your average, you know, people don't explain what they're supposed to do. That is only telling you that among your peers, as I said earlier, you always be compared. And there will be metrics, there will be certain metrics that you're going to have to do well in for for you to do well among your peers. Remember, every time you are in school, you do something with social skills, you do something with mathematical arithmetic skills, you do something with location and with geometric skills, you do something that has to do with cause and effect science, you know, input, output, and all of those things. If your teacher did not explain to you, I'm explaining to you that these are where you build businesses from, economies. These are where they come from. The problem with this was either a social problem, a scientific one, that want to do with location, want to do with input, output, want to do with money. That's all they're about. And if you don't get that way, your focus on education is only to pass an exams, which is supposed to test your knowledge. You see, the exam is not the knowledge. Listen to me. The exams we do in school is not the knowledge. It's to test the knowledge you have. Hence, it is strange that when it gets to examination, then we are panicking. Because if the thing we have been taught, we know it, then the examination is only supposed to prove how much we know of what we have been taught. It does not mean life has ended there. It means even if you could not even recollect under the pressure of examination, we still have the knowledge that we can use in life. Because all that the exam was doing was testing the knowledge. That's all it is. So every exam you have failed doesn't mean you didn't know anything. It meant that under the circumstance you could not remember much of what you knew. And most probably it meant you did not understand the concept, you did not understand the principle behind what you were taught. And you did not see the usefulness of what you were taught, so you could not connect to it. So anytime you fail an exam, what it means is that we're saying you fail to get the concept of what you were taught. You fail to see how relevant it was to your life. So you fail to pay the necessary attention to study, to understanding, to remembrance. That's all you are saying. Doesn't mean you are useless or anything. No. Now, one thing that another thing. So in this part, the first we are talking about is examination. Remind you of what you know or do not know. Examination reminds you of what you know or does not know. That thing of 100 is not just a number. It's just telling you how much you are imbibing, how much you have understood, and how much you can recollect. It is not a death sentence. Number two, you always, in school, you always know those who are ahead of you, those who are with you, and those who are behind you. I remember my secondary school days. If you got 68 and somebody got 69, that person could be number 40 and you could be number 80 with the one, because it's an average of one in between you. And that is how interesting life is. You just need little to put together, and you are far ahead of somebody else. Doesn't mean the person is literally that far behind you. Only means that averagely you're able to put little things together, and that will has pushed you ahead. So you realize that somebody got 68.1, 68.2, 68.3. By the time it gets to you, the other person has 69. The other person is about 40 steps ahead of you. So don't be too fussy about people who are ahead of you, because sometimes it's not so much. Sometimes it just takes a little effort and then you can even overtake them. So that's what another education does. It happens severally. In school, there are people who you could be first, and then the next semester or term, somebody else has overtaken them. It happens in life. Sometimes um, in life, somebody seem to be a bit behind, and then the person learns quickly, or get to a season where the person is stronger, and then the person takes advantage of it and then overtakes everybody. Just like you didn't die when your friend actually got more marks than you did it after your examination. The same way, if somebody has more things than you are now, it should not lead to you dying, because you've already experienced that severally, right from your elementary school days all the way to university. People have always done better than you in exams. People have always done better than you. Even if you were the best student in your year, there's a student who was also a best student who did better than you. So education sort of makes you aware that there's somebody who's always better than you in something. And that should not lead you to discount all the other good things you can do. Because you're also better than that person in something else. That the only thing being examined is your recollection of what you were taught. It's not your total person that the person is better than. That the person can remember, can understand the principle behind what you were taught better than you. That's all. That is why people doing so well in education has not always translated in them being the most successful in life. But it was a stage in life, not life in totality, but a stage. Just a stage. Okay, so and you have those people who are behind you, your juniors, those ahead of you, your seniors. Those who are more brilliant than you are, those who are less brilliant than you are. And sometimes there are always people behind you, learning from you, And there are always people ahead of you you're supposed to learn from. There are always people with you that you're supposed to, learn from each other, cooperate, don't compete. It's not necessary. And then school also helps you understand that it helps you understand the environment. It teaches you about our economy, how the fact that we're colonized. It gives you a view of your environment. It helps you appreciate the country you find yourself in. I know there are countries where instead of them teaching the reality of what is going on, they teach them propaganda. They teach them the what should be the best. You see, when you are in a school where you are not taught what is going on, really, you're rather taught something else. That is when you come out of school, what you know, the knowledge you have cannot solve the problems of the society. And for those who develop curriculum, it's a very dangerous thing to do, to have a disconnect between what people learn in school and what is actually going on in the world. A good school is the school that teaches you to be able to understand your environment, to appreciate the principles that are working behind all that is some stuff, to be able to appreciate the systems that are running things in your environment. That is a good school. Now, so that's another thing that school helps you to understand. Finally, school will give you something that is sometimes painful, but it's the truth. You realize that there are people that will thrive, will thrive in the school. I remember there was somebody in our secondary school who was so good at maths. He could wake me up in the middle of the night and he can still run you through a maths problem. And the next morning, when you ask him, you not remember the episode. He did it semi-conscious. It doesn't mean that that person will become better than you in every way. No, it doesn't mean that person will have better everything than you know. What it means is that person is just talented in that area. So school will expose you to people's talent. Usually when it comes to school, we know the ones who can run better, we know the ones who can dance better, we know the ones who are better with the opposite sex in terms of romantic relationship. We know the ones that are even better with trading, certain things while going to school. We know the ones who are good with books in terms of reading. We know the ones who are good in drama. You see, school just puts society together. So there are people in arts, there are people in sculpture, there are people in sports. It's just a microcosm of society. So it's very, very, very strange that you can go through school and don't know how to deal with societal problems. I mean, it's strange because that is all school does. It's set up the way it is run and everything. Now, let me address the issue that has brought us here. Why is school not making people entrepreneur? It's simple because school is not explained the way I've just explained it, but these three videos. You go to school, you're only taught that the reason why you're in school is to get a good pass mark. That was the certification of what you're supposed to learn has become the learning. You understand me? Let me explain. It's just like money. Some time ago, money was gold, silver, precious metal. And then because it was bulky, you couldn't carry it around. Remember in the scriptures they talk about shekels because they are shekels of silver. It talks about what do you call it, pieces of silver because they were weight and all of that. Talked about talents as the weight of silver or gold, and you can see that in scripture all over because these were actual money, which were weight. So the weight of gold, the weight of money, showed its value. Now because it was heavy, and the Chinese came up with a concept where they give a receipt that represented their money, the money, and people kept them. And that's how banking also started with the Chinese. So eventually, people began to associate the same value with the receipt that you are giving as the money that is sitting with the people in the bank. That's how come money became paper. So the money represented a value that was at a certain location. So original money was backed with gold. Then Nixon in America, at one point in time when America ran out of gold, decided to disconnect money from gold. So now we have money paper that is what is backed by no real money. In other words, the only thing that We call it fiat currency. The only thing that people that backs a currency is the economy of the currency and the trust we have in that economy actually. So now the certificate has become as important, if not more, than the original money. That's the same thing education has become. Now the certificate of education has now become the education, has become what is relevant. People are more proud of the paper, the paper that they came from a certain Ivy League school than exactly what they can do that the paper is certified. That is why you can be taught in a short time to do far better than somebody who have gone through school without actually understanding what school is meant for. We also understand that schools also certify people for professions. No matter how much Gary you eat, you cannot practice you cannot practice medicine, you know, in a civilized country unless you have a certificate that you have gone through medical school. And we know for them, you are taught the real education where you are taught to do what you are supposed to do. The same to do with law and to want to do with leadership. For professional courses, they are still doing education the way they're supposed to do it. In other words, they are doing education as a problem solving system. So that by the time you are through, you are groomed to be a pilot. You can actually fly a plane. You are taught to be a soldier. You can actually shoot a gun and actually work as so that's how education is supposed to you're supposed to teach us to. But even in that, what it is doing subsequently is that it's preparing you to be a worker. It's preparing you to be a worker. What general education does is to expose you to the problem of society and they tell you that go there and find a solution to it. And once you accede to that request, you then are rewarded for the value you have provided. Otherwise, all you'll be good for is to go and work for somebody else because you have already been shaped to be obedient, already been shaped to keep time, already been shaped to produce results, already been shaped to be examined for performance. And that is all that work also does. Working for somebody is also another replica of school. So if you're a good student, you should be a good worker. But then if you want to actually make it in life, there are people who have been employed and have made it in life. Those who have become CEOs of. But why they made it was because instead of just expecting pay, they went to their work with value. I can provide you with this value if you want to pay, but I'll take this compensation. If I'm not able to deliver, sack me. That is the attitude with which they went to work. And that's the same attitude which you should go to work and also to your own work. Go to work and say, these are the values I bring to the table. This is what I'm prepared to take for it. If I can't deliver, relieve me of my job. But if I deliver, then these are the things that I also require from you. And you see, Jacob for 14 solid years, Jacob in the Bible, for 14 solid years worked as an employee. He was an excellent, shepherd, but he worked as an employee. Because of that, his own uncle, who was his employer, changed his wages more than 10 times. And after 14 years, the only thing he had in his name, were two wives, and several children. Until the day he decided that no. I'm the reason this man is making money. I'm solving this man's problems and he's making money. When I came here, the sheep were few. So now I'm going there no longer as somebody who just wants to hang around somebody's work and just deliver my time for money. But I'm going there to tell this man that I'm going to stop this job unless you give me shares in this business. I want to be rewarded for value, not just to be paid for my time. I want to be rewarded for the value I provide because that is infinite. You see, the reason people become rich from being entrepreneurs is because the reward for value is infinite, but the reward for time is finite. You give 8 hours, a day, 5 days a week, 20 something days a month, and you are paid for that. It's fixed. That's why monthly pays are fixed. Anytime you're in a situation where you're paid a fixed amount, it means that your talent, your experience, are not being utilized, and that you are not providing much value. You have become the typical product of education, which is like you'll be made to be like your peers. You're doing peer service. But once you stand out and then you do more than your peers by providing value, then you'll be paid according to your input. And that is infinite. In the same way that you are providing a service is infinite. So then your income is also infinite. If it's not fixed to a time, it's not fixed to a particular skill, it's fixed to how many people you can satisfy. And that is infinite. And you can even get more people to join you to also do a similar thing. So the difficulty with people and entrepreneurs is that people come to the work and they decide not to bring their talents, decide not to bring their gifts, their experiences. They only decide to bring their time, which is basic. They just show up, do what you say they should do, and go. And when you do that, it does not bring multiplication to the work. It does not bring innovation. And that's how come employers are having problems with educated people. But any educated person who has paid attention, let me give you a typical example. Those of you who are claiming this, the richest people in the world are educated, and most of them qualify for Ivy League schools. Extremely brilliant people. People who went to Stanford, people who went to Harvard, and all those kinds of schools. They did not they did not finish the school, but it does not mean that they are not intelligent. They are extremely intelligent. But as I said, they understood education and what it was meant to do. So they did not spend time doing something they already knew how to do. All our schooling should make us know that we are supposed to solve problems. And once we are sure that we are problem solvers, we should find some problem and solve it for a fee. And that is all entrepreneurship is about. I hope today you have understood the schooling you went. If you had any reservations, you have now come to understand why you should not have them. The friendship that the school help you build, those are networks that you can use. The mates that you have, those are people that you can contact for things. Your seniors you can contact, your juniors you can contact. Every pressure that you needed to go through in life, there was a replica of it in school as you are approaching your exams and the rest. So you are built for this environment. Don't nobody tell you your schooling has not prepared you for a world of work. It's a lie. Schooling has prepared you for a world of work. It's just that you have not actually prepared your mind to make use of the schooling. You are waiting for somebody else to tell you what to do when you have already been taught all your life to do what you should do. So, in the answer to the question, is formal education relevant to today's youth? Absolutely yes. Absolutely. Years ago, kings had to be schooled. They had to be taught history and the rest. That's how they could rule kingdoms. Education is absolutely necessary. I even heard some time ago that Bill Gates wanted to return to school. You will never feel comfortable until you have been exposed to enough schooling to understand that you know what is going on around you. Actually, it's not for nothing that educated people are said to live longer than uneducated people. So go to school, but go there to pick something to use for life. School is not the end of your life; it's just the beginning of it. And have this mindset that schooling is just the beginning; it's not the end. Okay, so today we have understood the hidden meanings behind the everyday act of going to school. So right now, if you're a parent, you can start shaping your school. Your child's report is a summary of his interaction, of her interaction, of her talents, of her interest, of his interest. You can look at the terminal report and shape your child in the best way. You can pick up where the child is beginning to falter right from the terminal report. Don't just look at the marks. That's just how well the child is doing in terms of the collection of principles and facts. But also look at the behavioral side. But that's what's going to shape the child so that the child can process knowledge better. God bless you and subscribe to this channel. Love you. Bye.